Welcome to the podcast, The Colors of Womanhood. I'm your host, Kaya. The Colors of Womanhood aims to meet women exactly where they are, no matter the stage of life. As a woman who once was a girl, as a woman who transitioned from girlhood into young womanhood, marked by the onset of menstruation, as a woman who must stand up for herself and create her own path, as a woman who seeks to enjoy life, though it may not always be possible, as a woman who knows the complexities of motherhood, or perhaps doesn't, as a woman with children of her own, or a woman raising someone else's children, from a woman living in sub-Saharan Africa to one residing in France. The Colors of Womanhood tells the story of female health, women and their purpose, women and the importance of yoga in their lives. It explores women's unique relationship with their health, the influence of culture, and the deep connection women have with their inner selves. It invites women to reflect on what that connection means and the untapped potential they possess to fully embrace their health and womanhood. Today I'm speaking to KatieAnne Duncan Bruce, owner of KDBEnergy. She's a specialist women's yoga therapist and a certified wellness coach and Yoga Valley's teacher trainer. And she supports women throughout the different stages of life, from pregnancy up to menopause. Welcome, KatieAnne.
Thank you so much for having me on.
Yes,
How
I'm
are you
excited.
today?
Okay, so shall we dive in? And we're going to talk obviously about womanhood and for you the connection to yoga and purpose. So can you please tell me, what does womanhood mean to you?
Yeah, absolutely. So for me, womanhood isn't just like one thing. I feel like it's a real spectrum, and there's so many different ways to be a woman. For some, it's like really rooted in strength, or for others in tenderness. It might look like pushing forward in your career or your work, or lifting up others behind the scenes. And it really be how we show up in ourselves in motherhood and sisterhood, or even just how we rest and reclaim space. So you could be expressing yourself in a dress and heels, or even muddy trainers chasing kids around or walking the dog. So for me, it's not defined by like jobs or relationships or labels. It's defined on how deeply connected you are to yourself. So like through my work, I really see womanhood as an energy, like one that's powerful, intuitive, cyclical, and deeply like creative. So when we really honor that energy, when we trust it, when we move with it, and we allow that to lead, like we can begin to feel at home in our own bodies and in our lives again.
Another really, really beautiful description. Thank you for that. Is that how you're describing that? Do you feel that's always been there for you that way, or has that really evolved?
I feel like that it's definitely evolved for me, like over the time and over the sort of personal journey that I've been on as well.
Mm. And you were saying you were tapping into how women, I can't remember precisely how you said it, but at least how they support each other.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for me that's one of the most important things, and I really like I'm part of a few different groups and networks and communities and things where women are really supporting women through the, like, for example, the teacher training that I'm part of, or this business networks, and I feel like it's so important to have that network behind you as well.
And this is something I think that's become more, let's say, more popular in a way, or even challenging maybe. And as I see there's a space that women want to support each other. At the same time, I think there's still a kind of barrier, because it's, for a long time it hasn't been that way in many, I think more in the Western culture for sure.
Yeah,
There's
absolutely.
still, yes, there's still quite a lot of envy or jealousy, whereas it's a shame that that's there, right? Do you see that within, for instance, in your networks, that it's changing, or have the women kind of really entered these networks to really support each other? Is it a work of progress?
Yeah, I think well, one of the networks I'm part of here in my local area, it's Murray Businesswomen. And even from the very start when I joined, I found that it's such a supportive network that I've not only met friends, but also like I've met new collaborations, and it's led on to other things, and it's really been a positive environment. And I think having that support there, it just makes all the difference, because the more I think that you put into it, the more that you uplift others, the more that it comes back to you as well.
Yes, yes, thank you. So you worked in show business before, right? Before you went on the whole journey, let's say, of yoga, and your show business has taken you around the globe. How did you experience that as a woman, and what impact did it make on you? And were you, say, conscious of that as a woman?
Yeah, I think I'll always be really grateful for the journey of that career that I had, and it really brought out a lot of growth for me, and now I really have a different perspective on everything. Like, I was lucky enough to live in Singapore for a couple of years, and I think there, in that kind of entertainment industry, there are pressures as well, and maybe for a long time I maybe felt like I had to hide parts of myself, and maybe feel like I was constantly trying to prove something. And I've always been a deep person, but I think perhaps in the entertainment industry, you maybe feel like you've got to fit into a certain box, or you have to fit in a certain way. When I was 24, I got a choreographer's job over there in Singapore. So it was a huge shift to move to the other side of the world. My husband moved with me as well, but he had to finish his work for, I think it was a couple of months before he moved out. So I literally went over there myself. And only a few days before going on this trip, I was still performing on stage, like as a dancer. And then when I moved there, it was not only the obviously the change into the other side of the world, a brand new culture, whatever, but also the fact that I had a new role. So this choreographer and PR manager as well. So like a new country, it was male dominated environment where a lot of my colleagues were actually a lot older than me as well. The experience really changed the dynamic of how I worked and how I showed up in that environment. But I think it really planted like powerful seeds, especially around presence, performance, and how we can see our bodies, which ties now into the work that I do today, like through yoga and wellness. It's like that journey, that season of my life, like unknowingly paved the way for the work that I do now.
It's a fascinating story. Do you feel, in as you were really more in a kind of male-dominating environment, that you had to, tap more into your masculine energy as well, to have those qualities much stronger, and you developed them probably there stronger?
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. I think it was also like that kind of stepping up, that confidence. Like I just had to have it inside. Otherwise, I would not have gone. I wouldn't have lasted working there or whatever. But I feel now like I do use these kind of stories through my work when I'm working with others through confidence and things like this. And it's like I always remembered, like I felt like nothing was going to stop me from working there. And even some of the challenges that I did come up against, looking back, it could have been easy to just be like, oh yeah, I'm just going to give up, or this is not for me, or I could just go home, or whatever. But it wasn't an option.
Yes. Wow. It's yeah, it's beautiful. You can develop that strength, and it's indeed, from my experience as well with living in different countries, you can sometimes think like, why? Right? Why am I here? And why did we choose this? And
in a way, there's always a possibility to leave, right? But it's indeed those challenges that you face that shape you, right? And where you learn a lot from.
Yeah, definitely. And it's like being pushed out of your comfort zone is where the real growth and magic happens. So I wouldn't change it for the world now, although it had highs and lows at the time.
Yes, no, absolutely. And then I can imagine that you're a good teacher for your students to bring that in.
The
Okay.
program that I'm delivering now is called Resilience. So I use a lot of these kind of things in my teachings, and how we can, overcome like difficult situations, or how we can try and move out of our comfort zone, and working through that self-doubt and just really having that resilience inside.
Good. Good. And do you notice with your students that they haven't kind of developed that enough, or that they might be resilient but they don't know it, or
I think some of the feedback that I've had in my recent cohort has been that well, one of them said that they've suffered from anxiety and confidence issues their whole life, and putting in some of these tools that have been working with them has really made a big difference. And they also wrote that they've really enjoyed the program much more than they thought they would. So I think it's even like that thing. The student was not sure if she wanted to take part or sign up, and even that was, taking that step is a step of confidence, and stepping out of the comfort zone, and really trusting herself to go and try and do something different and be working with me. And I'm really happy for her, how her feedback's turned out and how she's benefiting from the program. So I think sometimes we maybe don't believe that we can do something until we try, and then we realize like actually we can learn from it, even if it's not what we thought exactly it was going to be.
yeah. When you were in the showbiz world, and especially in the well, male dominant environment, but also just in terms of the challenges and that come with the whole work in the showbiz. Did you notice any health challenges, or were you at that point not as much connected to yourself, kind of physically, emotionally?
Yeah, so absolutely. I mean, at that time, I looking back now, and I use this in my work as well. I think I thought I was like invincible, like with the late night, like work gigs, surviving on very, very little sleep, partying after shows, just like drinking, eating whatever I liked. And I think a lot of that it is the industry as well. So it's kind of like you're expected, I suppose, in some ways to, this is part of the package, especially when you're working on stage. So you might have the shows might be really late at night, or you might have them, through the day. So you don't really have the structure of time for that rest and, you know, rejuvenating yourself. But I think whilst I was living it up, I was really beneath it all, masking like anxiety, emotional struggles, and like most importantly, a real disconnection from my body. And I really didn't recognize these things as health challenges back then. But knowing what I know now, I understand how deeply they were actually affecting my nervous system and my energy. So often people would say to me like that, what I find a compliment, saying that they found that I was down to earth. But the truth is, like in my body, I actually wasn't grounded at all. My personality maybe seemed down to earth, but I think within I was constantly like overworking, like overstimulated, and I was actually burnt out without knowing it, because I just kept going. I just had that push going forward all the time. Um, the My work now, with KDBEnergy, one of my like values is, it's through kindness, drive, and balance, and that's how I really reshape everything that I'm doing now. So the drive factor being, like looking forward with your goals and things, but without going into that overdrive, and then obviously balancing out with the balance. But looking back, I can really see how all those years, they really shaped my understanding now of wellness today. But I had to relearn what it means to actually like rest, to nourish myself, and to actually feel safe, like within my own skin, in my own body.
Can I ask you how old you were at the time?
When I lived in Singapore, I was 24.
Okay. So then obviously this has, you said it impacted your nervous system, and obviously I can imagine how this impacted your hormonal balance system as well.
Yeah.
Yes. So just from there, given that we're talking about that, how that impacted your health basically without realizing it, right? You got pregnant of a twin, and it's been quite a challenging pregnancy, if I'm not mistaken. Or the delivery was,
Yeah.
you can tell me obviously, but
Yeah.
I'm just curious to hear if you think that from how you lived as a young woman without honoring your body, indeed, without having the knowledge in a way as well. If you feel that has been the impact on how you've had your pregnancy and what came with that.
So I think I am honest with people that I didn't always feel maternal, and I think maybe back then I always felt like, oh, this is going to be my life, this type of thing, and I never really like, visualized being like a mother or how I would be. And it's amazing now looking back that maybe it was self-doubt as well. I didn't believe that. I was worried that I would be like a good mom or whatever. Whereas now I know that it was really like like the soul's purpose. The pregnancy was really a turning point for me in my entire life, because the challenges that I really faced, like physically and mentally, it just really changed me in a way that I could never have expected. The the pregnancy meant that I was in a lot of pain, and in the end, I needed to have a further 2 abdominal surgeries, and a full repair for diastasis recti. And I think at the time when I had this was actually during COVID as well, and was very isolated. I was really, um, I was really at rock bottom, I would say, with my confidence, and I just knew myself that something was wrong. So when I got the operation, it was a long recovery, and I just knew then that I had to change. Something changed within me, and it was like, why was there not more help there for me? How could I help others that have gone through this type of thing? So the journey really brought me home to myself. And then I retrained as a specialist women's yoga teacher, and then later became a certified health and wellness coach. And it's genuinely been the most rewarding path. And the work that I do now, I really don't see it as a job. Like, I see it as a calling, and I really get to help women reconnect with their bodies, to feel stronger, feel calmer, and more empowered. And I think that every day that I do feel grateful that I get to do that.
Beautiful, beautiful. So then with your training, so you are a yoga bellies trainer, right? Can you explain a
Yeah.
little more about the yoga bellies, what it is and why it's important?
Yeah, absolutely. So the yoga bellies it's been the best thing that I've ever done. And touching back on what we were saying earlier about, women supporting women, that's what I really love the most about it, because that's the whole ethos of it. Is it's really honoring the different phases of life that we go through, from menstruation to pregnancy to postpartum, perimenopause and beyond. And I think that's what I've always really wanted to do: support women through change, like through challenge, through celebration. And everything came at the right time as well, because Yoga Bellies used to operate as a franchise. And then when Cheryl McDonald, the founder, when she changed the sort of way that it was that she was operating it, then she developed her Empower course, which is the 300 hours Yoga Alliance accredited certification. and it was being delivered online at that time. And the challenges that we faced in COVID, we decided that we were going to move. So I lived away from my hometown for 17 years through my work and things like that. And then we lived in West Lothian, which is 4 hours away from where I live now, my original hometown. So my husband and I decided that we were going to move, and we were looking for more support with family and things. So we actually moved back to our hometown. And while we were building our house here, I did this teacher training. So I did it online for the 6 months, and it just felt like it was just the perfect time, because I think before that I would never have had a chance to actually do the training, because I was always working or busy, or I was teaching dancers at that time. And it was almost like everything just fell into place exactly. And I think now that Cheryl invited me on to the team to deliver the teacher training as well, it's like went full circle for me. And the global connection is just so powerful as well. I mean, through Yoga Bellies, I've connected with women from all over the world, really. In the last group of teachers, there were people from Singapore, Oman, Dubai, and it's not just about like teaching yoga. It's kind of like creating that ripple effect of empowerment and embodied well-being. So it's honestly been like a dream come true, and I would recommend that course to anyone.
Really, really impressive, really beautiful. I really love it how it's sometimes indeed, right? Seeing how you go through your own challenges and what it really brings, and how things can come together, and what you've learned, and how can you shape it. I'm just curious to ask, just for the name of the bellies, yoga bellies, right? Do
Yeah.
you do you think or notice that, because it's obviously related to menstruation, pregnancy, and so on, but do you feel that women have in general kind of pain in their bellies?
Yeah, I think so. And I think a lot of the time, even through like classes and getting to know women on a deeper level, sometimes they'll share things with you, and it's like they feel that they couldn't speak about it openly, or for example, in my pregnancy classes, I always like to make the ladies feel um, safe for them to share anything. In my own pregnancy, a lot of these pains or whatever that I had, I felt like I couldn't really. I maybe had that thought that I should be grateful. I'm carrying twins, and it was almost like if you complained or anything, it would be seen as a negative thing, that you shouldn't be doing that. I think having the space with women where you create that safe space, and I will encourage them, like if you want to share anything, you can. And sometimes just being able to say to someone else, having this pain today, that this is what's happening, and then someone else confirming that they've had the same thing, it can, it's almost like that sharing that problem, it's like halved for them, because they've got that support, it's a reassurance. And I think it is important to allow them to, we can speak about these things, whereas sometimes others don't understand.
Yes, yes, okay, good. Um, so then we go on, because you received an award, or you've received more awards, right? As now recently for Business of the Year from the Scottish Business Women Organization Entrepreneurs. Can you tell a little bit more about that? Just, what the award is about and how you got the award.
Yeah, absolutely. So that award was it was really special for me. So the Association of Scottish Business Women National Business Awards, I was a finalist in a few different categories there: Business of the Year, Businesswoman of the Year, and Overcoming Adversity. And also within our local network, the Murray Businesswoman Awards for Most Enterprising Business and Businesswoman of the Year also. So I think when it first came out, it was kind of announced that I was a finalist. I honestly felt like really overwhelmed. not because like, oh, it's an award. It's like, it really meant so much to me in an emotional way, because all the work that I have been doing, it's like the true purpose of it really, and it really works well with the women supporting women. And I think when I got to the awards ceremony the night before, I was actually a bit nervous, and I shared this openly like with my clients, because there was no reason to be like nervous. I didn't feel nervous about the award. I certainly didn't expect to win an award. So it wasn't that, but I think subconsciously I must have felt out of my comfort zone, almost like maybe I couldn't believe that I would be in the same category as all these women. And that night I was having like anxious dreams. I was waking up through the night and so on. And in the morning, I was actually in the middle of that week, I was doing a online 5-day challenge with a group of women. So what I did was I did some, breath work. I did a couple of like tarot cards, journaling, and then I went online for a live video with the ladies, and I was just completely honest to them. And I shared with them, I'm here today at this, I'm going to this conference. And I was actually really nervous last night. And I just want to share with you that although like I'm, empowering you, just because that you're helping others with that doesn't mean that you've got it all, solved inside. And I think being authentic like that, it is that connection with your clients, because it's, these are the tools that I use, this is what's helped me, and so on. And they appreciated that. And then when I actually won the award, it was just like, I didn't just feel like a business owner up there. I felt like I was a woman holding space for myself and for other women, and just to be in that environment when you're surrounded with other women that are cheering you on, it was just incredible. And it's really just lit a fire within me. So I felt like I wasn't leading from pressure anymore. I was actually leading from like a purpose. So it was a moment I'll never forget.
I can imagine. Well, in the end, we're all human, right? And it's life that keeps on coming with the challenges. And I mean, I think we can be happy for having yoga because it's right, just what you say, the comfort zones, but just the life challenges that come. And I mean, I think because there's so many yoga teachers, and I think it's like we're practicing yoga for different reasons, and we know how to use them with the challenges. And I sometimes don't know where I would be if I wouldn't have yoga and just the challenges that keep on presenting. Right?
Absolutely. And I think it is a very common thing. It's like just because you help others doesn't mean that you've got it all figured out, but being real, like you're helping others to feel safe to do the same.
Yes.
Like you say, thank goodness for our practice.
Yes, absolutely. So I mean, like you've already explained in that way, right? How you feel you're empowering women. Maybe you can describe a little bit more, even how you feel you're impacting them in a way you've obviously kind of said it, but maybe you still have another kind of explanation to that.
Yes, so I think like I work with a variety of women, whether they are like mums or performers or even navigating anxiety, but they tell me that they feel safe, and for me that's everything. The program that I've built is like a hybrid model, so it allows that access for them, and I think when I share openly with them, they feel safe to show up as they are. Just recently someone asked to work with me like one-to-one in their home twice a week. So I think like that trust is something that I would never take for granted. And I think the variety too of different people I've worked with, like not just from other business owners to mums. I've also delivered a workshop for NHS staff, and just seeing how you can actually deliver your work to all these different types of roles, like seeing the shifts that it can make and in the way their confidence builds. It's really what just drives me forward with it, and that's why I do it.
Absolutely. So just going back to your personal situation, and at home you've got quite a dominant household, right? With two twins, two boys, your husband. So the boys are still quite young, but I was just wondering, that might be already kind of there for you. But what kind of message you feel you want to give, well, your boys and your husband, both as a mother, a wife, as a woman, about womanhood?
And I love that question. So I think I always like to talk with the boys that, like, that softness is not a weakness, and that you can. I encourage, like, to show emotions, and having emotions is not something to fear or fix. Like, they're a gift, and that intuition and the cycles and care and everything is powerful. So I think, like, speaking openly with them is, for me, is the key, and something that I started doing recently over the last month or so. And I seen it online, and I thought, I'm going to try this with them. And it's like every night before they go to sleep, I always ask them 3 questions. So we just got into it. It's like a bit of a game now. So I'll say, can you tell mom what's one thing you thought was good today, one thing that was great, and maybe one thing that you might change? And some days they say there's nothing that they would change. And then other days they'll say something like quite funny or whatever, but it's kind of that connection that I always want them to be open with sharing with me, and I don't want them to feel like they can't talk about their emotions openly. Um, I I speak openly with them about womanhood, and about not misunderstanding it or dismissing it. And honestly, it's funny how they really pick up everything. Even in their school reports and things, like, they've mentioned how aware the boys are of, like, health and well-being, and just, like, about, like, being grounded with others and things like that. And I think they pick up on things that I don't really remember telling them direct, but they've just kind of, picked it up at home. Um, I've never, like, taught them yoga or anything, but they always have been here while I've done my own practice or whatever. So that sometimes I've caught them, like, copying a pose or whatever, and they're 7 now, but a couple of years ago they would always go to a book that had animals in it, and one of my sons, Alfie, he was always looking at the animals, and it was like showing the animals and then the yoga poses for it, and the two of them would be doing a game, going and copying it. So I love that they're interested in that type of thing. And the last 2 years I've actually been part of their school health and well-being week. And they were so excited to come, like, to the front with their little yoga mats. They were always still asking when I would be coming back to do this again, and I always laughed to myself and think, like, I better enjoy this before they get older and they maybe think, like, they're too cool to be seen with me coming into their school. So should enjoy it while I can.
Yes, absolutely. Like, I've got two boys, a 9 and 11 now, right? And I think even without teaching them yoga, when they were younger, I mean, they're picking up. Yeah, you have planted a seed, I think, and I don't think it matters in that way if they continue it. At the same time, there might be, indeed, especially with my 11 years old, for instance, there is a bit resistant, but then he does come, oh, mom, I do want that relaxation. So they obviously they do experience what is doing.
Yeah, and even I don't really watch, like, a lot of TV myself, and I like to watch videos of, like, whales and things, like, just to wind down when I'm in my bed. And I think the boys are, like, they're always so aware of this. So sometimes they'll come through and lie down and they'll say, Mom, can you put on a meditation? So I'll put on, like, a background in the TV, and it's like a meditation scene. And then they'll go through to their own room, and sometimes they'll ask for music that is sounds or whales or meditation. So I think, like, they've really picked that up themselves, and I will see them putting on, they like the colors, and I've seen them, like, doing drawings that looks like all the chakra colors and things. So they've definitely been picking up things.
Oh, good. And how is the role of your husband in this?
So he's always asking about yoga, but I think he works from home, so he's a draftsman, so he's at the desk and things all the time. And I think it's one of those things that he wants to get into it, but he's not like, I wouldn't say that he's fully tried to. I think he'll ask me, will you show me some yoga or whatever, but we've never really got around to it.
Hopefully one day. I mean, it does seem to be with men, they're probably kind of on a distance looking, or either they're completely against it and as that they don't want to go near it, or they're becoming curious, right?
Mm-hmm.
Nice. So I think we're getting a bit towards the last question, because you've touched upon how yoga and womanhood come together for you, right? And how you really feel you're living your purpose, right? That's how it feels for you. Yeah. Did you, as a young girl, did you know, or could you feel what your purpose was? Did you know which direction you wanted to go in, or you really feel it's been through all the experiences that you've talked about that's really kind of shaped it?
Yeah, I think like the journey has been the main, has been that thing. It's been a journey, not a destination. Well, physically, I had to like rebuild myself, having twins, and I think that healing that had to happen deep down, like emotionally, I went from anxiety and like people pleasing to being in like emotional regulation and finding that confidence in who I am. Energetically, like I've reclaimed and rediscovered my own power, but also learned now how to protect it. And I think in the past I was given too much away, and now I move more intentionally, like I try with purpose, not pressure. I think that when I was younger, I always knew that I wanted to say, for example, like travel to different parts of the world. My dad was in the Merchant Navy when he was young. Growing up, I remember looking at his photos and things and thinking like something about that really stuck with me. And I was like, I really want to travel. I want to experience life differently. And movement and connection and empowerment's always been a part of me. Like I think that'll just never leave you. Even when I maybe never had the words for it, or I didn't understand it at that time, like I just felt it. Like even as a young girl, like before going to any dance classes or anything, like I was always dancing, like things like that. Like I always knew that there was a part of me that wanted to go on and do that kinds of things. But I think like now, like living with that purpose, the clarity and the sort of just intention, I have taken those different chapters of my life. So events, performing on stage, like dancing, choreography, the pregnancy, you know, the postpartum struggles, like the anxious version of me, the journey to motherhood. And I've really used, and then building the business that led me to winning awards. I've intertwined it all together to basically create the brand, and I'm really using my story today. And that feels like the real magic, like for the whole thing. I look back and I truly believe that everything that I've gone through has been, it's been part of the journey today to bring me to this point.
That's really, really beautiful. And I think it's a really beautiful end to this very interesting conversation. So thank you so much for joining this podcast, The Colors of Womanhood.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for joining us on The Colors of Womanhood. Whether you found a piece of yourself in today's story or it opened a new perspective, I hope it reminded you that your path, in all its colors, is valid, sacred, and worth honoring. If you're curious to explore your energy levels and reconnect with your inner energetic potential, I invite you to download Energized, a free resource designed to give you a gentle yet powerful taster of what's possible when you tune into your feminine vitality. You'll find the link in the show notes. If this episode moved you, feel free to share it with a sister, a friend, or someone navigating their own womanhood. And if you feel called, leave a review or message. I love hearing what resonates. Until next time, keep listening to your body, nurturing your spirit, and embracing the full spectrum of your womanhood wherever you are in the world.